Evening, guys. Hold on one second. I gotta fix some things here. Okay, sorry. Audio issues between the two mics and such. So, I know y'all haven't seen me in forever, so here I am. Um, Back just for the night while my camera cooperates and such. So, I got to do, uh, got a lot of stuff to do here in terms of going over gear and such as to what's new with my preps. Not necessarily new kinds of preps that have been on the market, but new to me. Um, so, if you can read the title, I got my GMRS license for radio. We'll be going over the radio here and different radio related stuff pretty soon here. Um, so, if you have questions, hold them for the second. And I have a mobile power station. If you guys are familiar with Jackery, uh, this is not a Jackery. This is a Predator from Harbor Freight. Okay. Uh, the reason I bought this is because when I did my first CERT deployment, okay, by the way, I did have my. Why is that? Sorry, here it's giving me a lot of. Let me turn the light down here. That better? It was washing me out there for a second. Um, so when I went to my first CERT deployment and such, I worked basically 5 o'clock to midnight and ran the truck the whole time. Um, as you can tell, running the truck the whole time. Why am I frozen? Again, I am tired of this with the camera thing. Come on. There we go. As you can imagine, running the truck on idle for 6 hours straight is not good for it and such. So I bought that for that, not for the fact that my truck has one, but the fact that I don't want to drain my battery and I don't want to burn the gas. This will run my lights for about 8 to 10 hours, depending on what setting I have them on. So it's got a LED display along with the time. I know it's backwards, but get over it. It's backwards on my camera, but not on yours. So like 99, 100 hours there till empty. And if I put a load on this, that number will change. So it'll give you an idea as to when it will die off. Okay. It can be charged via solar, and it's lagging. 110, and then the USB-C port right there. It can do that within from 0 to 100 in 2 hours, depending on your wattage going in. Now, this thing cost me $280, $297 out the door after tax. It was not cheap, but I think it was worth it for the fact that it won't just be doing the lights on the truck. It's, I can run the fridge off of this. I can charge just about anything off of it. And if I don't have an adapter for these, I have an adapter for that. I have two 110s. And these are all individually, like, you can control which ones you turn on so you're not draining the battery. So I've been running my radio off of this for Oh God, I plugged it in about 4 hours ago, and I've been talking to people in the area, and I've only done 3% on it at 20 watts. It's a 20-watt radio that will be going over here soon. Um, and best thing that I find about this is one, it comes with a 110, not a 110. Well, yes, it comes with a 110 outlet plug. It comes with the solar panel uh, cable, I guess you could say, the adapter, and then it comes with a 12-volt outlet. Now, what sets this aside from most of what I've seen on the market, now I can't speak for every brand, I'm sure there are other brands out there that do this, but there is something called pass-through charging. What is pass-through charging? That is you have when you have a power bank like this, you hook it up to power to charge it, and you're also drawing on it at the same time you're charging it. So as long as I have more volts going in or watts going into this uh, than I'm taking out, I'm theoretically charging the battery. So you know what? What? Piss off! I knew you were gonna say something as soon as I mentioned watts. Uh, sorry for the coughing. The smoke from Canada has been terrible today. Like, visibility's down to a quarter mile here. It might as well be a snowstorm. Um, so that's a quick rundown of the Predator 350 power bank. Okay, these just hit Harbor Freight like 6 months ago. Um, what's also nice is it comes with an automatic 5-year warranty that you don't have to pay extra for. So if anything happens in 5 years, I can just go get a new one from down the street. So you have to factor in, yeah, was it a little pricey for a 350 watt, or is it milliamp hour? Hold on. 350 running watts, 700 starting watts, and 294 watt hours, which that's pretty well balanced. Anyway, for what that is, that small of a package, the size of a lunchbox, for what it can run, and having all those features, and having the availability to replace it from the store down the street rather than waiting on Amazon or waiting days and such, and pick something. Um, $297, almost $300 isn't bad. And I'm lagging again. I hate this fucking computer. Come on. It's being stupid. Again. Why are you being stupid? Hold on. I'm sorry if this is unsynced for the audio and such. It's not being cooperative tonight. And this is why I stopped using my camera. Because the iPad is just got too much. Grace, can we buy a new laptop? Are you asking me to buy myself a new laptop? I theoretically can anytime I want. I just refuse to because I'm stubborn. So, on to the second part of things, and where the big part of this whole stream will be radio. Okay. A lot of you are going to ask me, what is the best radio type or such to get for preparedness and such? And I have one major point with radio and radio frequencies or types or whatever you want to call them. The GMRS band or set of frequencies. Well, I'll explain more later. I have in the past, but I will go over it again here in a bit. And why are we putting 750 in chat? I don't get it. Anyway. So GMRS, that's General Mobile Radio Service. That is basically somewhere between ham, the extremely advanced stuff that you have to take a test for, or your walkie-talkies that you can get in a bubble pack from the store for like 20 fucking bucks. Why did I go with GMRS for preparedness for my main radio here? I'll get to showing you it here in a bit. So GMRS runs on these same channels. I'm surprised it's quiet, but same channels as these, with the ability to do repeaters. Why are y'all going on about 7:50 p.m.? What the fuck? Who taught me to tell time? What are you talking about? Did I set the stream or something wrong? Because then, oh, my bad. Sorry. Get over it. You know, this is why I say I go live at a certain fucking time. So, get over it. I always tell you I'll be live at 9, even if I post differently or accidentally hit a fucking button. Okay, get over it. Gubnev, 751, really? Okay, fuck you. Anyway, GMRS shares the same channels or frequencies as these and can do limited repeaters. Repeaters are towers for radio. Okay, think of the classic image of a radio tower with the tall antenna going up into, pointing towards the sky there. There are certain frequencies that you can play around with higher power towers. And you don't have to take a test for GMRS. You just have to pay $35 at the FCC website. They send you your license after like a week. Yeah, they give you a call sign. I'm not going to give out my call sign, but to a select few people, because then that gives out my name and such, because everything with the FCC is public knowledge, which is stupid. And my camera's lagging again. Hold on. Let me just do this real quick. See if I can stop the camera. Come on. There we go. Hopefully, maybe that'll fix some things here. Is that better? Stop the lagging for a minute. let things catch up. So GMRS is basically the big brother to your little walkie-talkie you can buy at the store with a few extra features. Why did I go with this over ham radio? Ham radio, you have to take a test. Not only that, but you have to pay to take the test. And then you have to pay your fee for your license, which is like $70 plus like 15 bucks to take the test. And if you fail, you have to keep paying that 15 bucks until you pass at an 85%. No, like 60 and you pass. Like, anyway, I've been studying the ham radio material, and oh my god, if there was ever something to make my mind explode, this is it. It's talking about electrical signals, it's talking about the atmosphere, it's talking about things that are seemingly unrelated to just operating a radio. GMRS is basically what the radio industry refers to as ham for dummies. It does everything ham can do on a limited scale. Meaning you don't get as many privileges, but it's still capable of the same things. You can still bounce your signal off of towers. You can still talk radio to radio, line of sight. And GMRS has one privilege that makes your handheld walkie-talkie much better. Or rather, let me say that again. GMRS has one privilege that makes it better than the handheld walkie-talkies. Okay, I'm going to get a little technical here and pay attention, because you'll see why I went with this, or why you should go with this over your ham radios and your walkie-talkies. Your walkie-talkies only have a limited amount of power called watts, and they are limited to anywhere from a half of a watt to 5 watts. Okay, that's your handheld. You cannot modify the handhelds in any way, at least legally anyway. GMRS, General Mobile Radio Service, you can have an external antenna of any size. You can bump your watts up to 50 watts on a repeater, and certain channels you can bump it up to 20 watts, and then you can basically max out the FRS, that's Family Radio Service channels, that the walkie-talkies run on, so you can communicate across those two platforms on the same frequencies, but at a higher wattage with GMRS. GMRS is slowly... I am sorry for the coughing. This smoke is killing me today. Hold on. Sorry about that. Anyway. So, GMRS is slowly replacing ham radio for your everyday person. Okay? I say everyday person, meaning the person that just wants a radio to communicate we'll say anywhere from a mile to, well, I was talking up to and receiving messages all the way up to Mount Clemens. That's about, we'll say 25 miles away ish, maybe 20. Let me look on Google Maps here. Hold on. And I'll show you here in a minute once I get the camera to cooperate. But let me do a quick measurement on how far Mount Clemens is from me, roughly speaking. Hold on a minute. That's right, I gotta right click. I'm sorry. Hold on. So we'll say it's roughly anywhere from 10 to 15 miles from me. And then from at its furthest point that I go out, I would say 20 miles. Okay, there's a repeater that boosts your signal in Mount Clemens that has a 20-mile range that basically covers any place that I've gone in the Metro Detroit area for my daily living. Okay, and then there's also a few other ones that are amongst Detroit here. Troy, Detroit, let's see, Ferndale. They have a whole bunch up here. So anyway, I am constantly within line of sight of a repeater. Okay. I say for common everyday people, GMRS is by far the best type of radio you can use because it does not require a license. It's easy to understand, and you don't have to go into too much technical shit to understand it. You plug in a few numbers and you're good to go, as long as you know what you're doing. The common frequencies that it shares with the walkie-talkies, the little handheld things, are the common frequencies that your everyday prepper or everyday person that is not a prepper will typically be on. Meaning there will be a whole bunch of people, and as I will show you here soon when I show you the radio, there is a lot of people yakking back and forth, specifically on the Mount Clemens repeater, but that's neither here nor there. So, in an emergency, yeah, everyone's like, I want the police frequencies. I want the special frequencies. I want the ham frequencies. But you got to realize in a time of need, you're like, let's say you went through Hurricane Helene. Most people go to Walmart and buy the handheld ones, the handheld walkie-talkies, and think that that's a radio that you can use. Yeah, you're good for a mile on it, but what I'm getting at is you're more likely to reach somebody in an emergency using the same frequencies as the handhelds and the GMRS radio than you are ham radio. Vet Prep, yes, that's FRS. That's Family Radio Service. Ham radio is kind of in a class of its own. There will be less people using ham because during good times, like now, I guess you could say, or non should hit the fan times, people are not going to go out and pay for their license unless they're actually willing to invest in the hobby of ham radio and or if it requires for their job. Now, I'm slowly working on getting my ham radio license eventually. Since I have gotten this GMRS radio, I'm seeing less of a need for it uh, because even though I'm kind of a first responder with the whole CERT program, we are still using GMRS and FRS frequencies. And then there are a select few of us that are ham operators that use the high frequency stuff that the police use, the fire use. And if there's a problem, us lower ranking people, such as myself, go to the supervisor of the event or the incident or whatever and go say, hey, can you contact the police? And because we, again, insert, are not the police, um, we are just regular citizens. So, anyway, we use people that are more advanced in more advanced areas. Now, that's how I would say communications would go in an SHTF. Being that you're going to have a whole bunch of people on GMRS and FRS, and then you're going to have a select few that are doing logistics and emergencies and big situations, like the stuff that you really are not concerned about, being a prepper or being your everyday person. Okay, they're handling the behind the scenes stuff on the ham channels. Okay, and other frequencies, but we're not going to get into that. So, uh, if my camera will cooperate, I will go over this radio here. Let me plug it in and get this power bank going. And we'll try not to blow your ears out because, again, people are yakking on the frequencies again. So, this radio that I bought is, before I turn it on and all shit breaks loose, I will say if my everything okay here? Hold on. Are we good? Yeah. Maybe? Kinda. Yes? No? Maybe? Work with me, technology. Come on. Okay. I'm sorry here, guys. It's my connection and the camera and such are being a pain in the butt. So this is the Anytone 779 UV. Do I know what that stands for? No. Okay. It comes with a microphone, okay, with all your little keypad buttons and such, your push to talk, your channel up and down, your volume knob, and then various function buttons. What's cool about this is, and for you old folks that watch this channel, will recognize what the fuck that is. That is a phone jack, as I call it. Okay, I forget the actual technical name. But you can theoretically plug a phone into this and talk through the phone into the radio and use that as a microphone if you don't want to use your little keypad on here. So you have your volume button that is also your power button. It comes with a little bracket, and this thing is literally the size of my hand. Okay, that's not that big. Okay, I don't have a tape measure here, but your walkie-talkies, your radio, not much bigger. Really, the screens are just about the same here. This radio was $100. Okay. Now, are there much more expensive radios out there? Yes. You can spend in the thousands of dollars for a radio. Okay. This does have your standard. I'm trying not to get wires all over here because the desk is kind of crowded, and I'm trying not to knock shit over. It's got your standard, what is it? What's the name? I forget the technical numbers for this, but 295 coaxial. Either way, basically TV cable outlet. Okay, coax. Okay, that's the same. Hold on. Same thing that you used to use for when you get cable TV. It is the same shit. Thank you, Nightwing PL259. Same shit. Same port. Okay, that has been basically standardized across the industry of radios these days. There are some exceptions, but for your and this video, that's not of your concern. It does have a 12-volt outlet plug that is meant for the car. Okay, there are different versions of this radio that come with different plugs. I'm getting all twisted up here with the camera. Hold on. There are different versions of this radio that have kind of been standardized. It's one of those radios that a bunch of different companies have used this shell of a radio. The guts are different, but the shell is the same. Meaning, if you go on Amazon, you better make sure you get the right one. Is that any better? I feel like this is kind of dark. I don't know. That's okay, I guess. Yeah, seeing the reflection in the camera here. Hold on. Anyway. So, where do I want to go with this? It's probably as simple as it gets in terms of radio. Okay, I can hold it in my hand. I can probably put it in my pocket, and strap an antenna to my back and be one of those guys like in World War II with like a radio guy running around. So for the price tag, not bad. This is a 20-watt radio, okay? And it's been known, depending on how you set it and what channels you're on, it's been known to push 25, 22. 1 or 2 watts are not going to change your being able to reach somebody, okay? What is different about this radio, or why 20 watts matters versus your handheld, okay? This is on a half a watt and no more than 5 watts at its max on certain channels. even if it's a GMRS radio like this one, which, by the way, this is the Midland X Talker. Midland X Talker. A pair of them was $75. Vet Prep, do you have to check SWR with that? So the antenna I'm using, you can check SWR. Hold on a minute. Let me get the antenna here. Yes, I'm serving the antenna on a pie plate. I'll get to that in a second. This is the antenna that I bought. This is a tiny one that is magnetic. Okay? It sticks to shit. I bought it so I can put it on the car, on top of the roof, and it does not go anywhere. This is a dual band, meaning it does, well, I'm not going to get into the specific numbers, but it does FRS, GMRS, and ham frequencies. That's all you need to know. Basically a catch-all antenna. Why do I have the pie plate here? Because when the signal goes out from the antenna, I forget, it's grounding planes. Okay, you need something called a grounding plane, meaning the magnet in here grounds itself, meaning like electrical frequencies or electricity is grounded to this pie plate. The signal will go in any direction, north, south, east, west, up and down. Okay. This pie plate acts as a ground and will reflect the signal back out. Okay. Instead of it just going into the earth, think of this like a satellite dish pointing its signal wherever the fuck it needs to go. Okay. So that's why you have a grounding plane. Let me go put this back down and such. So that was $30, give or take a couple bucks, on Amazon for a dual band antenna. And to be portable, it's 17 inches tall. I did not have to do SWR as far as I'm aware. I've talked with a few people that were, one guy was we'll say about 5 miles away, and I'm sitting here in my room putting out 20 watts on a repeater channel, and we were talking like he was here in the room. He had a little bit of static, but nothing I could have done about that. Let me get things situated here. So I'll get to questions from chat here in a minute. I want to get some things out of the way before I start answering bigger questions and confusing people that don't know radios. So 20 watts is respectable in the GMRS frequencies. You can go up to 50 on repeater channels. You get 8 of them. That is 16? 16 to 22? Yeah, 16 to 22 is repeater channels that you can use up to 50 watts. Or even just simplex, which is radio to radio. Instead of using the tower, it's line of sight. Alan, yes. PIPAN as the grounding plane. That is to prevent electrical interference and to clear up the signal. Think of it like a satellite dish. You have the little thing in the middle and then the dish around it to reflect the signal where it needs to go. I just have it sitting on the couch over here. Now, I had it sitting on the cedar chest here, which was even lower, like maybe not even 4 feet off the ground. And I was talking to people, a guy like 5 miles down the road. Now, I'm not going to get into the technical wattage, antennas, SWR, signal loss, and all that other stuff just yet. If we want to go there with questions later, we can. Now, let's go over the radio here real quick as best I can without interruption and such. I'm not going to go through all the features because I just got this radio today. Because I don't know the features just yet, but I know enough to show you the radio and to make a recommendation for you to buy such a thing. Hold on. Help if I turn on the fucking power, it automatically shuts off after a while. So it will come on, and it's way too fucking bright for you to fucking see. That's not good. I need to change some things here. Hold on. You know what? I wonder if I were to just turn down the brightness of the lamp. Is that close enough? Let's see how that shows. I don't know if you can see it, but you can see the CL, Mount Clemens. Okay, that is the repeater. And as you can tell, it's pretty damn quiet. Yeah. Let me change some channels here. I'm sorry, I'm moving it around here. I'm trying to get the reflections to go away. Damn it. There we go. Yeah. So, channel 23 is your max. This can store up to 500 memory channels. So when it's in GMRS mode, I'll get to the modes here in a minute. GMRS frequencies, it's only got the 22, 23 channels, technically 22, but it can go all the way up to 36. 30, depending on your area. Okay. And then you got, what is that? 494. Okay. The camera doesn't know what it wants. So let me change that up here. Hold on. And the camera went out. Of course. Stupid fucker. Hold on. Gotta do the stupid mic thing again. I hate that. I gotta find a new system. Anyway, I know you can't quite see the fucking screen, and I don't know. There. Okay, that's 494. So 494 channels or spots that you can program memory channels to. Why is it sounding like there is an echo? Y'all hearing an echo? Echo. No? Okay. So I've got to come up with a different system here other than holding it up to the camera, I swear to God. So you have your basic 30 channels here. Again, I'm trying to angle it here so you can see it. There. Now don't move for an hour. That are your GMRS channels. Okay.
Observations for Friday.
And then you have your weather channels here on channel 500.
Port Huron, the wind was north at 5 miles an hour. At Mount Clemens, the wind was northeast at 6 miles an hour.
And as you can tell, this radio is not even hardly on for volume. Here, I'll turn it off and I'll barely click it on. And we'll go back to that channel. Other way. What am I doing here? Hold on. Okay, so that's just on without any. Watch how sensitive this is. That's audible. And I barely turned it on. Now, if I crank it all the way up here in a second, you'll really hear this thing. So, give me a second. This is on max.
Saturday night, partly cloudy in the evening, then becoming mostly cloudy. Lows in the mid-50s. East.
Yeah, that was max volume out of $100 radio. Now, granted, was it clear? Nah, sure. Yeah. It'll get your attention. Now, I'm going to end up putting this on the dash of the car, not mount it, just probably Velcro it. But that's just out of the speaker out of the bottom. On the back here, there it is. It has a port for an external speaker. I don't know why you would want an external speaker, considering you just heard how loud it is. But it's available if you would like an external speaker for whatever reason you may want an external speaker. So, yeah. I gotta figure out how to do the brightness here. So give me 1 second while I look at the instructions and if my radio would stay on the fucking table. Hold on. By the way, this instruction booklet is garbage. There ain't hardly anything here. And there's the model number in case you wanted it. There you go. Anytone AT779UV. I don't know what the UV stands for. Ultraviolet. Where is dropping things again? Let's see. All right, this is setting 1 on brightness. How is that? That is much fucking better. Yeah. Yeah. And then okay. So, what else can I explain to you that makes sense that is not too technical here? It does have a wattage meter there, that 13.2 in the green there. So when I key up, it shows what I'm drawing. You see it skip there down to 12. So that's basically 20 watts on channel 1, which technically it's limiting itself to, but I do have it set to low here. That L just below in the blue, that little tiny thing right there. Yeah, that's an L. This does have dual band monitoring, or not dual band, dual frequency monitoring, meaning you can monitor one channel while you talk on another, and so forth and so on. So if you're interested in this specific radio, I will say it is one of the most pain in the ass radios to program if you don't have the software. Okay, and the software has 3 different versions across multiple different websites that can confuse you as to which one you need to download. You need to download version let's see here. Hold on. What is it here? Why is it not? I want to say it's 3.0, which I will pull up in the interwebs here in a second. So let's hope that my camera and such don't go stupid. So this is a website called Moonraker. Okay, it is a UK-based website, but you go over to, where is it here? amateur. Okay. Are we still streaming things here? Hold on. Yes. Okay, so you go over to amateur, and then we go over to where is it here? Transceivers, and you want to go to mobile transceivers. Is it still coming through? And then you scroll over to Anytone 779 UV dual mini mobile. You click that. Okay. If you want to pay $84, they have it available, but you have to pay from the UK, and that's on the slow boat from the UK. So you scroll down here to find here's all the specs for you nerds. You have your software, okay? This is the right one. I went to 2 different websites. I got version 1 and version 2. This is version 3, okay? You want version 3. Version 3 is the most current. The Anytone website will give you version 1, which is stupid, and then confuse you as to how to set up the software. I will not be going into the software as far as anything of that nature, because that is way too complicated for me to show you right now and such. Maybe later in a different stream, but not tonight. Let me switch some plugs around here. Hold on. I love this power bank. Being able to just plug shit in. Why are you not drawing any watts? What the fuck? There we go. My iPad cable's being a pain in the butt. So there is a way to program the radio without the software, but that's a lot of technical bullshit that I'm not going to go over again, or over tonight, rather. So that's where to find the software. I suggest you save it to a flash drive or such in case of an emergency. That way you can fire up your laptop on your little power bank and get your software to program your radio, if you so choose to go that route. Now, as a little side note here, again, I gotta get out of that and turn this on. This did have something that I greatly appreciate: the actual mount for the microphone. Now, granted, I'm not going to be screwing into my truck. I try to keep my modifications semi-permanent. In other words, if I don't want to or don't have to drill into the truck, I won't. But this is just like a CB mic, and it clicks on there pretty well. If I can do this one-handed here. But come on, line up. And then it will snap into place. That tab right there will snap into that little hole right there and keep that from coming out. That's not going anywhere. I'm thinking of taking this metal piece, and you know how the old truckers used to do the cable that's like to the roof of the car? That's on a cable that will retract. I'm thinking of doing that, so when I let go it'll just go right back up, and then I just reach up, pull it down, and that kind of thing. Now, there is a feature that I will show you here that I will not show you on my radio because I don't want to reset everything. Now, let me find it here. This is why I bought this radio for a one-time investment type of thing. Okay, there being three major types of radios you can invest in: FRS, GMRS, or ham. This radio, and its ace in the hole and why I bought it, is it can do all three. It can't do all three at the same time, but you can set it for whichever one you choose. This is a video that I'm just going to skip ahead here. Okay, same model, same radio. Let's see.
Let's turn that power down. Function power. So, I've been told of a mod that worked in the reverse order for them, but basically it gets you into a menu to set your frequency range for the radio. So we're going to try it out. Power the radio off. Hold down the VM button and power it back on.
Okay, this is basically the factory reset mode in a way. It's where you choose your type of mode, your frequency, and such. I bought my radio as a ham radio. It was already pre-programmed to the ham frequencies. I'm not going to get into the technical numbers that are the frequencies, but just know that it was not programmed to GMRS. I did that myself, doing this method, and it works, and it's safe to do. Just know that any saved progress on your memory channels, meaning whether we'll say GMRS here, for example, anything from channel 31 to 500 gets erased, and then it goes back to GMRS standard unaltered channels. Same thing. Either way, you lose your memory and all your save data, but you can change different modes and different frequencies. And technically, you can, if you're on the ham side of things, transmit outside of your designated frequencies. Thank you, Europe. Thank you, Australia. Thank you, Asia. You'll see what I mean here in a minute.
And there's a range of frequencies. That looks to be amateur only, but if I hit the up arrow, I get a wider range. Interesting. Europe, no. We're going to stick with this one.
So 136 to 147, or 147, 470. 136 to 470 is ham frequency. That's 136 megahertz to 470 megahertz. That is technically outside of ham, because ham only goes up to 465, 466, something like that. So you get a few more megahertz outside of the range. I don't know if you could transmit, but it's there nonetheless.
136 to 174. Let's see what the others are. Europe.
You get Europe frequencies, which I'm not going to touch. I don't know anything about them, but they're there if you want them. GMRS, that's my specialty. That basically wipes it clean. and gives you a whole bunch of free space on the radio, takes you down to those 30 channels, and then you can program whatever else you want. Now, what makes GMRS, or at least this, I'm pointing that way, but it's that way on my screen. What makes this setting, GMRS, one of the best is because it frees up from 31 to 500, minus those first few NOAA weather channels at the like 500 mark. You basically get a shit ton of free space to program any frequency you want to. Again, I don't know if you can transmit, but you can at least monitor. So if I put in a ham frequency, while this is set to GMRS, I can listen. Now, if I have a ham radio, then that's null and void. But the point is, I can still monitor other frequencies or use it as a scanner of type in the meantime. If I'm on ham, I can do the reverse of program GMRS channels and monitor those and transmit on the ham frequencies. You get where I'm going with this? This is a very versatile yes, Nightwing, I know 2 meters is 144 to 148. That's GMRS and FRS, correct? If I'm right. 2 meters and 70 centimeters is ham, right? If you don't know what I'm talking about, it's radio jargon. Point is, for $100, so far we've seen GMRS, we've seen ham, we've seen Australia, we've seen Europe, and like 4 different other settings for ham.
RS, Australian, and it stops there. I'm betting GMRS is GMRS only. Europe, that band we are going to choose. And then amateur only. And then another range seems to be a different region, maybe. I'm not sure.
My guess is like Asian transceivers, Japan, that type of deal.
Nonetheless, we are going to pick this one. Now, I've been told you turn the radio off, and once you turn it back on, you're going to lose everything in memory, which I didn't have but maybe 1 or 2 anyway, so it's not a big deal. Turn it off. Turn it back on. And we'll go to... Yeah, I guess I lost everything in memory. Which, hey, it's no big deal. Let's go back to VFO. Let's try that GMRS frequency again. 462 500. And we're transmitting on GMRS. Look at that business. But this little radio is got some features. And wowzers.
Okay, so for $100, basically I got a portable radio that I can basically take in any vehicle, plug into any base station power source, like a Jackery. Let's see here. What am I doing? Stop that. Add that. There we go. Y'all seeing me? My camera's out. No. Shit. Hold on. So, we'll forego the camera for a second here while it decides to cool the fuck down. You've basically got infinite possibilities with this radio. Is this the only radio that can do this? No. Are there certain legalities of this? Yes. Like, legally you can't transmit outside your band. But again, in an SHTF situation, nobody gives a fuck. Hold on a minute. One second. Y'all hear me good? We're good? Okay. Or see me? Yes. Okay. So you get basically every frequency possibility or option that a prepper could want or need or have any know-how about. You get the power capability. 20 watts is not anything to sneeze at. In a package, mind you, this is the size of a cell phone. Kind of. Close enough. Like, it's the size of a tape recorder. Let me put it that way. For all y'all know what a tape recorder is. Surprised I do. You know, it's the size of a Walkman. Hell, I probably could mount that shit on my belt and just walk around with the shit. Like that shit. Just over my shoulder. That kind of deal. Yeah. $100 having every possibility for radio that is practical in a shit hits the fan, meaning most people are going to be on these. And then you're going to have people like me that have a little more know-how that'll probably be on GMRS. And if there's a repeater standing up still, we know how to use it. Ham is going to be very specialized, and ham people are few and far between. And again, ham people can only talk to ham people, generally speaking. Not saying they're dumb. What I'm saying is the practicality of getting your license for ham in a non-shit hits the fan scenario is out of most people's reach and or desire to learn about radio to that extent just to transmit on a narrow band or narrow frequencies chunk in good times, Now, during SHTF, is this going to be invaluable? Yes. But the chances of somebody out of a pool of 100 people knowing anything about ham radio and in a shit hits the fan, that's like trying to come across a brain surgeon in shit hits the fan. It's not that common. Can it do FM? I know. So this is where you can plug in when you're on GMRS, that setting that I have it on. Those memory functions, you can program it in the scanner section. So from 31 to, I think it's 495, those channels, you can program the repeater or the radio station into the radio. You have to do it manually. But yeah, you can set, if you look up your local radio station frequency, you can program it in there and have it just like a normal radio. Is it going to scan like FM does? No. Unless you've already programmed that in. So you can monitor GMRS channels, FM stations, the NOAA weather channels. It's a do-all. Where did I purchase it? I purchased it on Amazon for $100. Technically 99. But I spent about 150 between the radio, an antenna for $30, which again I can show you the links for that. This antenna's okay for what this is. Okay, it's not so big that it can't be mobile, and it's not so small that it's not useless. And then I also bought a safety jacket, but that's neither here nor there. That's for my certain duties when directing traffic and keeping people out of emergency situations. So now I will purposefully take questions, and now we can talk radio jargon. So if y'all are not radio geeks, some of this might go over your head. I'm not a radio geek. I'm just a prepper dude that bought a radio. I know a little more about radio than your average person, but I'm not a ham license. I don't know like much about the ionosphere and dipole antennas and again, radio jargon. Uh, yeah. Let me bring up a video here of something that somebody did with this type of radio that I thought was absolutely fucking amazing. Let's see here. Hold on. So this is kind of what I was going for in terms of like the mobility factor of this radio. And this is actually quite cool. So this guy bought basically a bag that is about the size of an IFAC. That is pretty small bag.
Hello folks, I just got my Anytone AT779 UV radio in the mail today, down to a minimum for the radio. So far, I get really good reception even under the trees and good broadcasting. I've got my radio cat with me, he's helping me break in the backpack.
So you can see how small this radio is. I mean, I've shown you, but this is pretty mobile for a 20-watt radio and a base station.
Back to the radio. So far I've only found one thing with it that I'm not pleased with. There's probably a way to change it in the settings, but when you are in VFO mode, you are locked to 12.5 kilohertz steps. I have not found anything in the software to change that.
There is a way to change that.
I'm hoping that it can be changed.
It can.
You can program outside of the 12.5 kilohertz steps into memory mode, but when you are in VFO mode, you are locked to that 12.5. If anybody knows how to fix this or has found...
So, again, the mobility of this radio is top-notch. And for having that kind of a capability to talk to somebody, like just tonight, I was talking to somebody at least 5 miles away, and then I was getting a repeater that was 10 miles, 15 miles, I don't know. Some people were hearing me, kind of. Being that I'm on a low wattage radio compared to what they have, my voice. So wattage usually is kind of, think of your volume. The more watts, the louder you are. And it also has to do with your antenna. The more efficient your antenna is. But neither here nor there. Nightwing says a small lithium battery and a charger would also be helpful. Exactly. Like, I don't see anything wrong with this radio yet. Menu navigation's a little clunky, but it's an old model radio compared to modern day. There is no fan on this, so it's all heat sink aluminum. Vet prep. What's the difference between yours and the DBG GMRS radio? Looks like yours. Vet, there is nothing. That is the DBG 20. This is what I was saying before. I don't know if you were here. This radio is, in fact, the same radio that Radiodity, the DBG 20. Okay, this is the same radio, same box or same casing, same everything. Basically, I bought it as a ham radio, and then I went into that memory function thing that I just showed the video of, where you turn it off and you hold down this button here to change it to a DB20, whatever, 20G or whatever you called it, DB20 GMR, yes. And I basically changed it to that because I'm only licensed for GMRS. And I don't have any use for ham other than to monitor it. And I have my Baofeng radio, my little handheld that I've always had, for that. This can do GMRS too, but programming it, no, I can't. This is much more capable. This has less watts, but I'm getting sidetracked here. So, like I said, you're going to see a lot of radios that look like this. I'm not sure about Radiodities, that's being the DBG20 or whatever you called it. Yeah, DB20G. I'll get it straight. I don't know about their software, how up to date it is, but again, I had to fight through 3 different versions of this software to find the right one. Again, go to moonraker.com, the UK version. As far as I'm aware, that one will work for any version of that radio. It'll read it, and it's just like chirp. Chirp is what the Baofengs typically use. Have 2 radiosity rigs. Comes with a cup holder attachment for 117. I could make one. So when I did medical deliveries, I had a dashboard clamp thing that would clamp onto you know how the instrument cluster has a hood over it sometimes, just so your gauges don't get glare. The clamp would clamp onto that, and then you'd have your phone holder. Well, I can just take the phone holder part off and screw that shit on. Done. Same principle. And that way I don't take up a cup holder. And for those that are, I've totally forgot about CB radio. Do I need to go into CB? CB is kind of dead. Bear Truth says, was a power mic work for that radio? Was a power mic? What do you mean a power mic? Is the microphone powered? Yes. It's backlit, and it has the lights here will light up when you transmit. So, yes. Is it powered? Yes. I don't know what you mean by a power mic. Let's see. Any more radio questions? A power audio amp mic won't work. No. Now, again, this radio does have an external speaker jack. So, like if I took one of my computer monitor mic speakers, I could plug it in here. But I demonstrated the audio earlier. Hope if I plug the damn thing in. Hold on. I cannot do things one-handed, damn it. I'm getting old. Can't fucking see shit, can't fucking do shit. So, anyway. Of course, now that I'm not on here, like everything's quiet. But, yeah.
Here is the forecast for the northern suburbs. Tonight, hazy in the evening. Partly cloudy. Lows in the mid-50s. North winds up to 10 miles per hour. Saturday, partly the upper 70s. Northeast winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Saturday night, 50s.
Yeah. It's pretty loud in terms of volume. Of course, my video will go out. I hate my camera with a passion. So, no way with a power mic. That means you can get out a little bit further than you normally would with a regular mic. I don't know what that means, Jeff. So let's see here. RAM. So Nightwing is a power mic. Is that's for? It sounds like CB radio. Anyway, let me drop the invite for you, the regulars here. So CB is in. Is it HF frequency band? I'm pretty sure. CB is not really touchable via GMRS. You can technically with ham, if you have a license to go outside your frequencies, meaning general or extra or advanced for you old people. They call it different things. CB is 27 megahertz. Okay. But if you have one of those Consider HF. Nope, can't get from there. Huh. Again, I'm not an expert on frequencies by any means. I have an understanding of the bands, but I don't have an understanding of which ones cross over and such. And things are loud. We good? Oop. Hello, Jeff.
Well, oh, excuse me there.
So, again, another reason why I went with GMRS is because of its range. It's with a handheld, you are basically limited to less than a mile if you're lucky. Okay, we're talking you're talking to somebody across the yard or no more than a half a mile away or line of sight type thing. Now, if you're line of sight and you're high up and such, you definitely can make the handhelds go further, but that's totally situational. You can't be in ideal situations all the time. GMRS, on the other hand, you can bump the power up to 20 watts on certain channels and then 50 watts on repeater, giving you astronomically amount more range than you would with a handheld. And that goes for all handhelds, because most handhelds, even CB, like my one over here, my I'll call it the brick, the old Midland here with the long ass antenna, that's limited to 8 watts on high, and that's, CB is low, 27 megahertz, like Nightwing said. So it can't really go that far unless you're really pumping out the watts, at which point you're sitting in a semi-truck that has basically unlimited power. Not practical for being mobile or being in certain situations.
Hey, Nightwing sure knows a lot about radios, too.
Who is what now?
Nightwing 2012 is pretty knowledgeable.
Yeah, Nightwing's been with me since the beginning.
Oh, I know.
Yeah. Nightwing was like one of the people that started talking about radios. That and Comrade Radio Prepper, wherever the hell he went.
I'll tell you, because I was talking to Nightwing in chat, it's also good to have an AM radio handy. Okay, with a bad situation. There were movies in the 50s and 60s where, I forget the name of them. I haven't seen them in decades, where people were listening to AM radios just to find out if there was any broadcasts coming from any cities that were still left.
Nightwing says, has been a ham since 1972. Oh, wow. Longer than I've been alive, bro.
Damn, that's longer than I've missed one.
What? 72. Jesus, you were there during its inception. Also, hold on a minute. So, also, real quick, that radio on Amazon comes with its own programming cable with the driver USB, which is extremely important. So don't lose that. So, where are my people? We only have 61 in here. I guess y'all didn't want to see the big update.
I know Bushcraft had about 40 some tonight.
Yeah, we got 46 in here now. Half of y'all.
I think when the YouTube channel showed you were coming on at 750, people were like,
I swear to God, I marked it as 9. So, oh well.
Well, it's my fault. I told people to come in here and put 750 PM. So wham.
Oh, you were the asshole that did that. I thought it was Bush.
You're damn right. Hey, Mr. Asshole to you. A power mic is a CB microphone. If you had your CB tuned up with the power mic, somebody from North Carolina could talk to somebody in Central Texas.
Oh, one thing I do need to mention, and this is extremely important for anybody that's looking to get into radio or have a radio for prepper needs, the GMRS license is good for 10 years and is good for your whole family. Your brother, your uncle, your sister, your mother, uh, your in-laws, your cousins, the whole spiel. Um, they
Thank
have
you,
to
Daniel.
use your call sign, and you are allowed to uh, put another character or another indication of who that is, because if I use my call sign and my mom uses my call sign, we have to distinguish between the two. So it'll be my call sign 1 or 2 in her case, or some other defining or identifying factor.
How much does the license cost, by the way?
They downed the license as of, I think it was 2 years ago. It was 70 and it is now 35. The only thing you need to do is navigate the FCC website to do the things to get the license. Now, I will give a basic rundown of that without showing the website. So, you go to the FCC website, you register for a free, what is called an FRN number, that's frequency radio number, or something like that. I forget exactly what FRN stands for. Um, it's basically an identification number. Then you pay your $35. You wait like 2 days. They then send you in an email your call sign, your information, basically a little certificate saying, "Hey, I've got a license for 10 years." And then you print that bitch off or take a picture in my case, and you now have your license.
What would happen if somebody got one of those radios and started operating it without a license? Would they fine you?
Generally, it's not worth the FCC prosecuting people, but as of recently, they have upped their game in terms of catching people and fining people. Nobody that I know of or heard about has gone to jail over transmitting illegally. Um, it's a different
They've been
story with
fine, right?
It's a different story with GMRS versus ham. Ham is much more gatekeeper, being that they won't talk to you if you don't have a call sign, and they will immediately call the FCC most of the time if people are assholes, and track you down. When you go to the FCC website and you punch in somebody's call sign, it brings up their name, their address, and such. That's why I haven't given out mine. I don't need y'all coming on my front porch. Um, so, uh, GMRS, on the other hand, the people seem to be a little more forgiving. Nightwing says we will definitely turn them in. Yeah, GMRS is a little more
Why?
chill. What do you mean, why?
I mean, why you really want to turn somebody in, especially if they just getting started
Because
and want to get.
so to not get into too technical of things, but I have to explain it. When you get a ham license, you are designated to certain lanes or frequencies. If you go outside those frequencies, you are interfering with official business of other frequencies. bands. Okay, if I were to transmit on ham illegally on my GMRS radio, there's certain wattages, there's certain power limits, and um, just interference. It's like uh, so if I got on a police radio, let's say, and I started talking on there like I'm talking to you right now, that's interfering with the police.
Yeah.
Okay, there's other
That
frequencies out there. There's other frequencies out there that are next to the ham bands that I don't know much about, but are used for other things that you don't want to interfere with.
okay.
Nightwing says ham bands are self-policing. Are you going to go to jail over it? Probably not. Are they going to go around if you are constantly doing it? They will literally drive around with antennas trying to find you, type shit. And or you might get somebody like Nightwing that's guarding this shit come knock on your fucking door and say, stop that shit. Not only for keeping the airways available, but to prevent that interference. There was a case out of Florida just recently where somebody plugged in their TV and they had an amplifier box, like so you have your cables coming into your house for your TV. Then you have a box that amplifies the signal so you can get it to another area of your house. Well, this guy had two of them, and that was causing interference and electromagnetic noise. Okay, static on other frequencies that he had no radio equipment. But the FCC came knocking on his door because they got multiple complaints of other frequencies and other people that were on those frequencies. That hey, we got to find this interference, not this guy, but where is this interference coming from? So they circled the area with their scanner antennas and found the address saying, hey, you got something in your house. We don't know what, but there is something electrically interfering with the frequencies coming from your house. We need to find it. Can we come in? They came in. They literally took a little scanner antenna, like maybe about this big, and scanned it to his TV amplifier box that was like in his basement in his corner that the cable guy installed two of them by accident. And they immediately took it and they fixed his TV and went on their way. And I don't know if he got fined or not, but yeah, that can happen.
I tell you, my thinking is with
Okay.
all the people that came in this country and all the bad stuff happening, there's people out there probably monitoring all this stuff because
Oh, there definitely is.
because you figure, okay, if you do something, let's say somebody was going to plan a bank heist or something, okay, if you did it on Twitter or Facebook, even with private messages, I'm sure all this private stuff's being monitored. But if somebody might think you could do that over, you know, over ham radio, and no one's going to find you.
What's that? Do what over ham radio?
Discuss doing something that isn't nice.
You cannot do that. That is against FCC regulations. That will get you put in the slammer, guaranteed.
But there's a lot of stupid people out there, though.
No doubt. I'm not going to argue with you on that one.
So here's a question for Nightwing, and Nightwing, I hope you can answer this. I don't know how much you know about GMRS. Now, my repeater that I usually talk on, the Mount Clemens one, has a 143 or 141.3 uplink and downlink tone. I have the frequency set to that,
That's good.
and I'm receiving signal. But when I key the mic and I say something, nobody replies. It's like they're not hearing me. What can be the problem with that?
Oh shit.
If you have the tones for the frequencies and the offsets for the repeater set correctly, and you're receiving it, it's just they're not hearing you. Is it the fact that I don't have enough wattage? Is it antenna placement? What would it be? What would you suggest? I feel it's antenna placement, like not line of sight type thing.
How far can GRMS travel where somebody can respond to you with the same
Line
setup?
of sight?
Yeah.
Line of sight. Nightwing says could be one or all. What do you mean? So line of sight, you theoretically could go, I don't know, maybe 20, 30 miles. I was doing 5 from this room.
Back to me.
Just what, Jeff? I was doing 5 with not even that good of a setup here. Let's see, what else? If you're talking repeaters and in good times, I can bounce my signal off the Mount Clemens repeater and go all the way up to Flint, Michigan. So that's basically from, we'll say, so here's Detroit down here. Mount Clemens is kind of up here. And Flint is like way up here. That's about 30, 40 miles away. So good conditions, using repeater, non-atmospherical bullshit going on, meaning good weather and such. You can go pretty far. One downside to GMRS is the repeaters are not generally linked like they are in ham. Meaning, like if I had my signal go from the Mount Clemens to the Troy to the one in Wisconsin to the so forth and so on across the world, it's not that capable unless, of course, the repeaters have a predetermined agreement to transmit that signal to that repeater. So unless the repeaters have agreed, you're probably not going to get through.
Have you ever actually talked to anybody and had a conversation with the GRMS?
Yeah, like earlier today, I was talking to somebody 5 miles away up the road here. He said, so he was saying, the guy on the radio here, that I was probably not connected to the repeater, or they couldn't hear me. He was hearing me simplex, meaning radio to radio, but something between me and the repeater was preventing it. So usually tones are for transmit. Does the radio show the frequency when it transmit? If so, does it shift to the transmit repeater frequency? So the transmitter frequency, I'll just go to we'll go to repeater book so I don't give away my call sign. Hold on a minute. Let's see here.
You probably
Hold on.
didn't tell.
Go ahead.
You probably didn't tell the guy you were talking to today they had a YouTube channel, did you?
No, and the thing is, like, it was like my first few times transmitting, so let's see here.
What time of day do you think most people are using that? You
I
know,
mean that depends, but
I would think at night when people are like, done work, unless they have the night shift.
so I will go to, hold on.
I never got into ever getting a CB or a ham radio. Have you, Jeff?
Yeah, I've gotten into the CBs back in the day.
When you were
But,
driving a truck, probably.
well, I got into it before I started driving the truck. I got into the boosting them up and everything. But once I started driving the truck, the only thing I done was power mic, and that wasn't worth a crap without the
So
other.
so this is the frequencies here. Hold on a minute. Okay. So I'll just say that the uplink tones here are 141.3 and output is 141.3. Frequency is obviously there. So yeah, it's totally open.
Yes, life with Bobby.
Yeah, I was going to say that too.
So
'Cause,
so the go ahead, Jim. What?
yeah, like anybody that listens to FM after the sun goes down, most nights you can get radio stations. Like here, I can pick up stuff from West Virginia, even Pittsburgh and Ohio occasionally.
You, you know why? Because all the electromagnetic interference from everybody's gadgets and electronics has usually died down enough to where you can hear that shit.
Yeah.
So interesting. Go high and low out. Ham are usually the other way. So high frequency transmitting out and then low frequency receiving?
Huh. Skip. Yeah.
Skip is off the atmosphere. That is totally subject to atmospheric
Right.
conditions.
Hey, you can get on a damn good skip and talk to somebody in California.
I mean, theoretically, you can do that with GMRS too.
Okay.
But,
You need enough power though.
No,
well,
you don't.
that and usually that's more ham. You might be lucky maybe a couple times on GMRS. Uplink usually means in
Yeah.
and downlink is out. Well, if they're both the same, does it matter? Because under my account, that actually looks at the where it says login to view here. The inputs are and the outputs are the same.
God almighty.
So it's a totally open repeater.
I don't know if y'all can hear it, but man, we're getting pounded with rain.
Well, the rain missed us today, Jeff. It was to the north. Actually, it was a week and a half ago. We had 101 was on. We had a bad storm here.
Well, now, 30 minutes down the road from me, they had to do water rescues yesterday and today with boats. And you wouldn't think that town done that.
Well, how much rain do you think they had in the areas that were affected bad?
I'm gonna start off with 5 inches.
We had almost 1.7 inches last Friday over 3 hours. And guess what? After having that rain, we've had 6.5 inches of rain since May 9th. We need more rain. The ground dried out quick.
A good shower is what people need, not a downpour.
Well, north of us and up near Macungie and Hereford, PA, some areas had 2 inches of rain, like in an hour, and some areas had more because the storm just stayed over one area and kept pouring buckets.
Hold on for a minute, Jim. I know you
So-
want to say something 101.
Well, I'm reading Nightwing's comment here. How a repeater works is the receiver coupled to a transmitter. There is a device that keeps the two separate to use the same antenna. So when I'm logged in here and it says the same uplink or input tone and output tone, is that incorrect on the website here? Is that what I'm getting at here? Or
All right, let me ask this question. If you hook up to an outside antenna, does it have to be a certain type antenna or can it be now like a CB antenna or something like that?
it has to be specifically the length so there's certain types of materials and certain lengths of antenna that it has to be. So you cannot put a CB antenna on a UHF. It just won't work. You can. This is why I bought a dual band antenna, so I can cover all my bases,
Right.
generally speaking, except for CB, of course. So usually antennas, when you buy them, if you buy them, you can also make your own, but that's a whole nother science. Buying them, they will usually give you usually give you the frequencies that they're good for, the range, in the description. It is called. So what you do is you run a load you key up the mic, or you say something through the antenna, and you have what is called an SWR meter. That is, I forget exactly what it stands for.
I got one. I
Okay.
got one.
So you understand having certain lengths of antenna
Yes.
affects your electromagnetic crap with it.
Yeah.
And the fact that if you put too much power, it can bounce back through and down into the radio and basically blow your shit up.
Yes,
but that's,
you can.
yes, that's, you understand that then. Okay.
Yeah. And I will also tell you this. I don't know if they got the same type of antennas with that as they do with the CB, but it was called liquid filled antenna. If that is not programmed just right, it will blow your radio.
Well, yeah, it sends a shock wave through the liquid,
Yeah.
but that's usually CB. Most
Right.
dual band antennas are not liquid filled that I know of.
Well, I mean, that's the only thing I can reference to, because
Right. You're coming from CB.
GMR, right. The GMR repeaters, radios, I really don't know that much about. Matter of
Same
fact,
here,
I don't know jack.
So hold on a minute here. So one tone is to activate the receiver and the other is to activate the transmitter. The key is a device called a cavity that key
Keep.
in 46.675 and the out is 462.675 at the same time. So it's the offset.
Nightwing, why don't you come on up on panel tonight?
So they have the uplink and the downlink here wrong. Oh no, 462 and 6. Wait a minute, did I program something wrong? Hold on.
She said, yep.
Do you know what the 101? Do you know what type of metal's in the antenna? Because my thinking is the best kind would be copper, because you want something that's going to conduct electricity.
Usually dual band antennas or ham are coaxial, and coax cable is usually a braided, I forget the metal, but it's got a braided with a copper core. That's why if you kink coax and it breaks, then you're fucked. So don't bend your coax if you can't help it.
Because I know I know they use aluminum, but aluminum is not as good a conductor of electricity.
Nightwing, there's the link if you want it. Maybe you can help me here.
So the only conductor that really beats copper is gold and silver.
She said she's even seen steel.
But it all depends on what's in the steel. You figure certain metals just aren't good conductors.
Well, no, that's totally right. Let me see.
If I was going to get one of these, I would get the best antenna you can get.
Well, like I said,
I know it's cool.
I got to keep ability factors, and you know, so certain antennas, you know, I'm not going to lug around a 80-foot antenna just to go do.
That would be kind of overkill.
80-foot antenna, I'd have to mount that on the side of the house.
It's like the guy I was talking about last week that was really into ham radios. I think the guy's long gone because of his age.
Hello, Nightwing.
Hey there, long-time listener, first-time caller.
Nice to meet you.
This ain't your first time up here. I know you've been up here.
Nope, first time.
I thought you were ages ago.
Yeah.
I did too.
Ask a question.
Thank you for helping me with this.
Hey, anytime.
Nightwing, hold on. I apologize right off the bat. With that
you scam
name,
a guy?
Yep.
When did you
do know me pretty good.
How old were you when you got into radios, Nightwing?
Oh, God, I was in high school at the time. Freshman. I think I was about a freshman.
I can't remember.
101 did something to make a noise.
Yeah, I heard something.
Sounded like feedback. Because I got into audio when I was in high school too.
Yeah.
Is my mic okay now?
Yeah. No more feedback.
Yeah.
Okay.
Electronics is a good hobby.
Oh yeah, I agree.
So,
it still is.
I bet when you were a kid, your first day in radio was a 9-volt.
9 volt on the tongue. Yes. But
AM radio transistor.
Yeah, when they didn't even have FM wasn't created yet. Well,
see, I think FM was right after World War II. I know single sideband was during the 50s.
Single sideband, isn't that like a
High
ham?
frequency.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now,
Yeah.
CB has been using AM and single sideband for a while, but they just got the option of doing FM. How in the world they're going to squeeze that in 28 megahertz? 27 megahertz. I'm not sure.
You figure when those little AM 9-volt pocket radios came out, there weren't any FM stations like in my area of the country yet.
Yeah, FM was. Oh, Gad, I remember father building an AM FM radio. I still have it. It's sitting actually about maybe 10 feet from me, but it's all tubes.
Tubes
But
are good.
it was.
Yeah.
I still remember when FM was mono. Then all of a sudden it became stereo.
Yeah.
It's kind of worked like when TVs. Hey, I know Jeff understands this term. I remember when TVs only had about 4 channels and they were mono.
And you had to get a
So-
UHF converter when UHF came out.
Oh
A
yeah.
little converter box. And you probably remember crystal radio sets. I remember my dad for Christmas when I was in first grade, we built a little crystal radio. I think it came from Radio Shack. And about the only station that came in was a news channel.
Yeah, those things they also called them trench radios because you can make them with some wire and a razor blade.
I remember when radios and TVs had tubes in them.
You still having problems, Phoenix?
Well, I'm over here trying to get a hold of you here, but everyone else is talking.
Oh, sorry about that. Ask a question.
So what did I do wrong here with the CTCSS tones and such?
Combination, it could be you may have flipped the tones wrong, but it's kind of interesting to see them going high and then low going out, which is I'm used to ham radio stuff, which is you go in low, come out high. Like you come like 145 and then pop out on 146 something.
That's what she said.
Wait a minute. Did I do? Hold on. I think I realized what I did here.
Holy cow, write it down.
No, really. Yeah, write it down. No shit.
Well, you can easily flip these things around and not even know it. It's kind of like setting up an email account.
So, Peter, yeah, that's fucking zoomed in. Hold on a minute.
What part of the country
Okay,
you
so
in?
162. That's
Southern California.
Okay.
162.
Yeah, when when you guys were
that's
time, you got it.
I'm sorry. Okay, so that explains it. So the receive frequency and the transmit frequency are the same. They shouldn't be. They should not be the same.
Yeah, because
we're still using.
It's hard to describe what a cavity is. Think of it as a fence. That's the best way I can. And how you use this is you have the transmitter and receiver hooked through this cavity to one antenna. This is so that it can receive the frequency and immediately send it out. There's ways you can do another way, but we don't even do that anymore. It's because with cavity technology, so to speak. And the best way to describe the cavity is you open it up and it looks like a whole bunch of stills put together. In other words, moonshine stills. That's the easiest way I can describe how it looks. Oh.
You have my attention at Steele's.
I kind of felt that, but and they're usually made out of copper.
Oh,
Yes,
That's
that's
what
why
I
I'm saying
thought.
if you opened it up, you'd swear, where did they grab all these stills? It's basically little boxes with little coils of wire inside. That's even more close to it.
as long as it ain't a radiator in there, we'd be fine.
Yeah, you'd have to filter it with, let's see, what do you normally filter? You usually filter it with bread
Yeah.
because you got to get rid of the diesel oil, the diesel out of it.
Are the inductors air core or iron core? Out of curiosity.
Air core because it's high frequency. I
Yeah.
mean, in other words, 2 meters, 450, which is what GMRS is.
Plus, air core are more linear than iron core inductors.
It's more of the iron core will make it go lower in frequency, and you'd have to have less turns to the point to where
Yeah,
it's a trade-off.
I know all about inductors. I've been an amateur loudspeaker builder since, gosh, I was a senior in high school.
Mm-hmm. Hey, did you ever play around with any of the plasma ones?
I never know.
Yeah, I keep seeing those over the decades, and it's kind of like, yeah, it'd be nice, but boy, it would be shocking.
I prefer air core inductors of really thick wire, but they're very, very expensive. Give an
Oh yeah.
example. These speakers, you can see, I built these, everything.
Hey, they're nice.
They're transmission line loaded. They're Irving Freed design them, and these are like a one of a kind. The subwoofers each have the coil is 14 gauge wire, 12 millihenries.
Wow. The
You're talking like they cut off at 100 hertz.
Why in
And
the
a 200
fucking
microfarad, I know 150 microfarad polypropylene capacitor. It's the size. It looks like a little soda can.
mm-hmm.
I prefer polypropylene over electrolytic any day.
You can make a high frequency antenna going from like 1.8 to 30 megahertz. You can use zip cord if you do it right.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, you could just take some copper wire and strip it.
That's it. That's you get your antenna as high as you can. The higher, because you'll find most of these repeaters, it doesn't matter if it's PAM, GRS ones, or police or whatever, they'll put that on a mountain. There's actually a mountain near me that you could even drive up in the 70s and it looks like a porcupine up there with all of the vertical antennas because because in this area that's the highest spot around here. There's others further south of me, but
I got a question. Do you think one thing I've noticed, like when I'm outside working, I'm listening to a Sony Walkman, and if I get close to the house, even if I'm in the house, the Wi-Fi affects that. Do you think the Wi-Fi in 101's house could affect the GRMS?
well, let's see. Wi-Fi is usually 2.5 gigahertz. That's the base. I call it the base one. The 5G Wi-Fi is
I'll be right.
5 gigahertz, and cellular 5G is around. Don't quote me on this. Somewhere around the 60s, 60 gigahertz.
Really?
Because even if I go to get the mail and I have my Sony Walkman on, when I get close to the road where all the power lines are, all the lines that are up on the poles, that affects it too.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Every
Like,
once in a while, we're lucky. I live in an area that's run by SDG&E. because of we don't get a lot of rain and it's dusty, and hey, we're considered high desert here, even though we're not. It doesn't look like we're in high desert. After a while, the connections for the power, like in other words, the old power poles, they can get dusty and they can, quote, start radiating a signal. If you remember hearing about amateur radio back in the late 1900s, in other words, turn of the century, they used to use what was called spark gap. And the best way to describe it is think of a spark plug. And it would transmit on so many frequencies you couldn't miss listening to them. It's when I can't remember the guy who came up with the idea of a vacuum tube, to where you could actually transmit on one frequency, not multiple frequencies at once. Even though we use that in our cell phones these days, we can thank a lady by the name of Hedy Lamarr for giving us cell phones. Yes, the actress.
Imagine how big a cell phone would be if they had to use tubes instead of solid state.
Oh, Gad. Well, even with the microscopic stuff we use today, it's still surprising to see how much you can cram into a little box.
I know. You figure one thing, the Japanese people, they are great. They've taken all the American electronics and they've improved it so much.
Mm-hmm.
You figure companies like Samsung with cell phones. No, I don't have a cell phone and no need for one.
Yeah.
In fact, just like you were saying, all the stuff out here on the road, and especially, let's say you live somewhere, because everywhere you go, there's some kind of tower somewhere transmitting something. And all interference.
Well, as Prepping was talking. Yes. Yeah. 101, how are you doing?
I'm going to go ahead and get off of here for the night. Nightwing, it's been a pleasure talking to you.
It's always a pleasure to listen to all of you and see all of you.
You take care, Jeff.
Yeah.
So,
good night, Jeff.
So I've figured out that what's the deal here with the channels and why it's not working. All my receive frequencies are the same as my transmit frequencies, which I don't know why they are, being that I automatically set them up from the radio. It's like they were programmed into the radio wrong. Not my doing, but from the factory here.
Yeah. Is there anything that's it's just a tone on my phone. Yeah, every radio to me is they always do something different on this. Some will actually say, "Oh, you tell it that this is it's like in ham, or I guess GPS this too, where you tell it that, oh, this is a repeater channel, and it will automatically do the shift, either up or down, plus or minus, so to speak."
Right. So the problem here is the software that I'm using to program it, that it comes with, does not understand, or I haven't figured out where the shift button is to enable that, or how to edit the channel frequencies, the upload and the uplink and the downlink rather. So I don't know.
Yeah, I can't tell you. Like
that wouldn't be anything with the tones, would it?
No,
because I have the tones right.
Yeah, usually they may have the tones of the. Well, no, they may actually have.
The tone is not the offset, correct?
No, yeah, it's not the offset. The offset is where you're going in on that
141.3.
Yeah, and then you're coming out low, which to me is odd, but hey, it's how they do that. And in these bands. Because until you can tell, because when you're transmitting, it's probably going into the unit, but it's not. You're not hearing it coming out. In other words, you may be going through the repeater, but half the link's not working, so to speak, when it's coming back to you.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Is like I'm transmitting to it. It's just,
Yeah.
or it's transmitting to me rather, but
Yeah.
I'm not transmitting to it, and I don't know why. Well, I know why now, but
Yeah.
I don't know why the software is not letting me change it though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I have a side question for you.
Yeah.
Do you have it's a chain throughout the U.S. It's called HRO, Ham Radio Outlet. If you ever need antennas, and there's one local, it's a great place to go get it. And they also ship too.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah, we lost the one down south of me. Kind of tell you where I roughly am, but no, they you can go get antennas. You can ask questions. They think of Radio Shack during its heyday. There's got to be something in those settings.
It's
They
the
can't make
software. It's not. It's nothing I did because I know to
No,
put
no,
it.
no.
Go ahead.
Yeah, you're okay. Yeah. In other words, it's just the software is just being a pain.
Right. I'm trying to select the box that has the frequency, and it's not letting me, and I don't know why. I'm re-uploading from the radio here.
Well, you figure software can be a pain. I had to get a new web camera, and half the time I go to the thing, get the new downloads. Then I want to like change settings on there, and sometimes they work, sometimes they don't.
Yep.
I mean, the old fouls, the old say, we need it, but you can't live with it. You can't live with it. You can't live without it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I bet you're
Yeah.
a bit over it yourself for Nightwing.
Yeah. I also write software too, besides work on hardware. But some of the software that I see out there, it's like, who taught this guy how to do this user interface? Or it's like, make it simple. In other words, use Elon Musk's concept that the best part is no part. Or in this case, don't complicate the UI because you're going to need a huge manual just to explain that thing.
So I don't know if you'll be able to
Yeah,
see this or not.
Yeah.
But let me see. Can I zoom in? No. Let's see here. No, I cannot. But I go to select a frequency, and it's not letting me edit anything here.
Yeah, you need to be.
And even if I go into the arrows for the options here, I don't know if you can see it or not. No.
It won't let you change anything.
Yeah, it won't let me change the box. Like I'm missing a setting somewhere.
Yeah,
the DTMF and the 5-tone wouldn't be anything.
Those just open up. Notice those just open up the door for you.
Open up the door for what?
Oh, in other words, that allows the repeater to do something with your signal. Otherwise, it would just ignore it. It wouldn't even consider it even noise.
Well, that could be the problem, is because I have that turned off right now.
Oh, the tones?
No, the DTMF.
Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, DTFM. Well, really, that's for more of receiving a tone. In other words,
don't I need to receive the tone for the repeater?
In
order
should
to
be able to hear it by itself.
Okay. Compander wouldn't be anything.
No, it's probably going to say something to the effect of I can't think of the term. I haven't done repeater stuff in probably about 30 years.
I'm sorry, I'm having
Oh
you
no,
dig
no,
into
no,
your
no.
mind.
Oh no, actually, I'm really enjoying tonight.
Okay, good.
That has a compander in it. I remember having an old DBX compander where it would take the signal. This is from a record, compress it, then expand it to increase the dynamic range.
Yep.
One of the one's gonna have to play around with that a little more.
Would now that it says here special DCS, would that be anything?
Mm-mm.
No.
No. Yeah, because you can set your radio. No, wait a minute. Yes, you can set your radio that if it hears a tone, it will. It's kind of like popping the squelch, so to speak.
Mm.
Uh, yeah, you may. On second thought, you may need to activate that so you
So
can
it
hear.
says standard DCS, and then it says DC or self-defined 0, self-defined 1, and self-defined 2.
Mm-mm,
That has nothing. Okay.
no, but you
They're
may
all
need. Yeah.
set to standard,
Mm-hmm.
and I cannot for the life of me change the RX frequency or the transmit frequency for some reason.
Yeah. In effect, what you're doing is you're still in simplex mode. That's easy.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah. In other words,
The VFO?
you're transmitting and receiving on the same frequency,
Right.
but you're not listening to the output. You're only listening to the input, so to speak.
So it's all simplex.
You're in simplex mode. It's like you're.
Oh, that's
How is he gonna change that though?
how do I
Yeah, but the catch is there's no setting he can find, and it's kind of like, why
What?
isn't there a setting?
Maybe he needs a different download.
well
Is my
I
thinking.
don't know.
No, even the stuff from Beifeng, and I run a Radiosity set of things, but there's a thing you click, and then it'll allow you to activate, change the two frequencies.
Set up.
Otherwise, when you change one, it's changing the other at the same time. You're simplex.
Right. So
In
have
other
you
words,
you've used Chirp, right? White Nightwing?
yeah, mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I have to use
So
Chirp for the Radiosities.
so you know where they have the RX and the TX, the receive and the transmit along the same side. You saw the program that I just pulled
Yeah,
up.
mm-hmm.
It
Yeah, it's
in
you
Chirp
figured
you
that one.
just click it and you can edit it.
Yeah, you
Here
figured it
you
out within a second.
right. Here you I don't know why you can't.
Yeah. And this type of radio, I like the radio. I tell you did a great description on it.
It's not the thing is it's not available on Chirp. Otherwise I'd be done for.
Yeah, I know. I like Chirp too. Oh,
Communication node.
There's got to be some way you can manually touch one of those buttons to get that to work.
I know. That's the thing
yeah.
is
Well,
when I click those double arrows, it brings up the spot to edit it. I just can't click the box for some reason.
Yeah.
I wonder if I were to just do a new one here.
We'll get a new radio.
No,
Oh no.
a
Well,
new file.
And that's what I said, a different download.
mm,
Let me see here.
I mean, how many downloads are available 101?
How many what?
How many downloads are available for the radio?
Well, they got 3 that I know of. And everyone says that this one from moonraker.com, which is the UK version, which again is running just fine. It's just a matter of me changing the frequencies. I changed them earlier today. I just forget how the fuck I did it.
Yeah, that's a great company. I've heard from Great Britain for antennas and stuff. Oh, what you got?
I opened up a new file.
Uh-huh.
And I'm able to click the boxes now and edit the boxes. So if I were to,
If you could send it back.
so if I were to open the program twice, and I would have to go through and change all the receive frequencies. Damn it.
I think that's what you're going to have to do one-on-one.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to do it the hard way. It seems like,
Yeah.
because there is no. Yeah, I'm gonna have to like manually do this. Fuck.
How long is that going to take you?
It depends. I mean, I've got the ability here to do, 500 channels or more. Now, am I going to use them all? No, it's the initial 30, and then the weather radio channels.
How do you know what channels are the most frequently used?
I go to websites and I find the repeaters, and
Mm-hmm.
GMRS is confined to about 30 to 35 channels depending on the area. So it there's not much thinking in terms of what frequency and such.
Yeah.
Are those less popular than ham radios?
Yeah, I agree with prepping on this. And it's mostly when I got my ham ticket, it was theory and code, and it was odd. Some people could pick up the code like that. Others, like me, it was always knock down, drag out, fight. But I could pick up the theory, but the people that could pick up code had problems with the theory.
Well, it's just like somebody could do math, but not know how to apply it.
Yep.
Understanding the math theory is more important.
It seemed to be if they had any musical abilities. Because I knew a couple, they long passed away now. She loved Morse code. I mean, she could eat, sleep, she could do it in her sleep. But she barely made it through the theory. Opposite for her husband. He knew theory perfect, but he, just like her on theory, it was a fight just to try to just to get through it. But oh yeah, I remember those days. I'm kind of wondering why. I was wondering why all of the fees all of a sudden, because usually the FCC has been going with volunteer testers. In my area, lucky because there is an FCC office. Oh yeah,
I wouldn't know where there would be one around here.
Yeah, you could check. And one thing they could give you all information is look up Amateur Radio Relay League, ARRL.
Yeah, the ALL. Yeah.
Because they can tell you if there's any volunteer testers in your area. There probably is.
The CERT program that I'm part of here, that did that put me in touch with them. So.
Oh, good.
You figure there's clubs. There's a guy, because I don't post that much anymore. There's a bunch of audio forums out there. I knew a guy in Audio Karma by the name of Adam Mann that's really into ham radio. I think he's up in Massachusetts somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
You figure some of these old stereo magazines in the 70s, you'd see a small advertisement in the classifieds about some radio club in a certain part of the country for ham radio operators.
Mm-hmm.
And with the internet, that kind of stuff isn't you think it'd be easy to find, but sometimes trying to find stuff on the internet is harder than trying to find something that was in a magazine.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm also kind of sad ARRL has gotten rid of the magazine basically. That was always a nice thing to collect because it was like the handbooks. You keep you'd buy a new handbook maybe every 2, 3, 4 years, but you always kept them because there's always new stuff added to them and stuff dropped out.
It's just like, have you ever heard of audio amateur publications? They're up in New England
Yes.
somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when I wanted to find out stuff about loudspeakers, I started subscribing. It was paper, the Speaker Builder magazines. And they discontinued that, even though you can get the stuff online.
Yeah, I hate that because even though the the old magazines were probably about 1/16 of an inch thick, people, I've still got tons of those. But I decided, I've got a life membership. I got it for a Christmas present from my father. And one of the benefits is if you paid so much, you got a lifetime membership to the magazine. I still do have it, but I have to go online for it.
Would your step frequency have anything to do with it, or is that just for scanning purposes?
I think that's just for scanning.
Yeah.
I think that was part of what you showed that video of the one guy having an issue with it would only skip it only would jump in so many increments.
Right. Would the squelch mode have nothing?
You could, well, if you were getting enough, if it was
CTC.
popping,
So it says carrier or CTC.
well, carrying means it would only if it detected it transmitting. CTC, even though, yeah, they've mucked up the plumbing on this stuff for decades to the point that even the ham stuff's starting to get kind of messy.
I'm
There's
just trying to find a setting that might
Yeah, yeah, I
fix
know.
something.
That's the kicker on this because this is a basic feature, really. In
To
other words,
change the frequency or the offset.
yeah, because you set this and then worry about all the other settings. This is
Right.
more like, we'll let you do these settings, but then we're going to make it tough to do the basic settings, that's not right.
Program. Uh, read from
Oh,
radio.
yeah. Sorry about the bright light in the back. If I turned it off, I would be in pitch dark right now. I'm
Oh,
out in my garage.
That's what I figured with all the stuff in the background.
Yeah, I got a messy garage. Too many years of collecting stuff.
There used to be a magazine, I think back in the 60s and 70s, that was big, Audio Amateur Radio.
I think I remember seeing that. I still
There were
remember
ads,
when.
I think
Oh,
there
go
were
ahead.
ads, I think there were ads in Popular Mechanic magazines about stuff like that.
Yeah. Let's see. I remember Popular Mechanics, Popular Electronics. Um, I remember when Byte magazine came out. That was like, ooh, wow.
Even though it's not really radio, are you familiar with the Audio Engineering Society journals?
A little bit. I never got that far into the stuff.
A lot of that stuff, people don't realize, a lot of the stuff with radio loudspeakers, the engineers at Metro Golden Mayer Studios, those guys figured that stuff out in the 1920s and
Yep.
1930s, all for movie reproduction.
Hmm. Well, look at what Disney did with Fantasia. Before that, it was mostly mono stuff, and then he came up with this multi audio track stuff that there was only a few theaters that could play it or would even want to even consider it.
And you figure when the MIDI Blues came out, they called it Dynamic Sound, Decca Records. It was just stereo. Because I remember when I was a kid, everything was mono.
Well, even the couple first Beatles albums,
Yeah,
they
that's
had access to four track recording. What they did was they used that to quote do the layering of the sound, and those first couple of discs were all mono. I think the British releases were stereo.
yeah. When they got the fair when they came out with 16-track recorders, that was a big deal. Actually, my son, he's in the music industry. He's a front house sound engineer for a rock group
Mhm.
that tours.
Hey, I hear him typing away.
Yeah,
Hopefully,
I'm cycling channels. That's all.
fudge.
It's nice to
But
find somebody else that watches 101's channel that has similar interest in electronics like I do.
yeah, I've enjoyed electronics since well, father always would play around with it, and I also got his knack of playing around with models and other stuff. But no, electronics is it's given me opportunities to get jobs, especially amateur radio. Um, I use that to get into computers. Still remember when computers were, oh yeah, you can have a computer. You're going to spend 2 to 3 months putting this thing together, and if you're lucky, it may work.
Wait a minute. So, hold on a
Hey,
minute.
did you
Do
find
I
it?
have to, if I were to do it from VFO mode,
Could
What is VFO
if I were
stand?
to read the radio from VFO mode instead of channel mode,
What does VFO stand for?
voice,
variable frequency oscillator.
I was totally off on that.
Now BFO is beat frequency oscillator, but you would use that if you had an AM radio and you're trying to listen to single sideband. Single sideband is basically you're filtering it's AM, but you're removing half of it. It's either the upper part or the lower part. Yeah, it's impressive with what they've been able to create these days on these little radios.
What's that?
I still remember the big tube units.
Like when people go to concerts nowadays, okay, the sound systems, the crossover between the higher frequencies and low frequencies, now it's all done with computer, really.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
not using capacitors, resistors, and inductors.
Hey, if you want to have some fun, dig up let's see, what do they call it this week? There's a place by the LA Convention Center. It used to be called the Nokia Theater. I think it's now the Microsoft Theater. But the speakers they hang in that thing are just freaking awesome. They're JBC, I think.
It's probably JBL.
Or it's probably JBL.
Yeah. One thing that annoys me, we haven't been to a concert in decades, my wife and I. Just say you go to a baseball game. Okay, when you're listening to the announcer, it sounds like an echo. It's because the speakers aren't all conveying sound at the exact same time. I'll give you an example. About a year ago, we figured out we had apps on Verizon TV, so I started listening to, watching rock concerts, listening to the receiver from YouTube, and I noticed I have to mute the TV because even with that millisecond delay from the sound going from the Verizon box into the receiver to the speaker, if I had the TV on, the timing was off just enough that you could hear it. And that my son sees this at the concert venues where he's the front house engineer, trying to get everything synced perfect with the frequencies and the sound so there's no time delay. Or it sounds like you're listening to a concert in a cave, the echo, because you got speakers over here that are a few milliseconds behind the speakers over there. And some people's ears are more sensitive to that. Because I've tried, to get back to you were saying about, being able to do the math versus theory, it amazes me of some of the people that don't understand how a series loudspeaker crossover, the benefits it has over a parallel circuit.
Yeah, it can delay, if you do it right, it can delay just enough that you don't have an echo. It sounds much better because you don't have since it's out of sync, it's all of them are interfering with each other. So you're
It's
not
phas-
hearing the true sound.
it's phasing. That's why. Hey, I don't know. You probably never heard of this guy. He was legendary in the '60s and '70s with IMF. He passed away about 20 years ago. Bud Irving Freed. He figured out with the engineers he worked. The only way, okay, if you listen to a speaker and the tweeter and the woofer are on a flat baffle, you're hearing the tweeter before you're hearing the woofer. The only way to hear both drivers at the exact same time is put them on a slope baffle. I swear by it, a series crossover circuit is more dynamic than a parallel, because with a parallel circuit, you're splitting the current. With the series circuit, you're basically, the drivers are in parallel to the current. With a series circuit, you're not splitting the current, you're just splitting you're splitting the frequencies between the drivers.
Mm-hmm.
And it's more amplifier friendly. Because I haven't done it in years. I've measured stuff with a voltmeter.
Yeah, I've toned rooms because you can tell, you can really tell the difference. If you just throw it all in there, you're going to get one type of sound, but if you tone the room, you get everything just tweaked just right. It kicks it up so many notches. Like I can't. Well, you just, it's night and day.
Like, we don't have any acoustic treatments in this house. You can't see it obviously from this. We built this house in 2002. The whole downstairs is open. So when we listen to music, it's like it sounds good anywhere downstairs.
Mm-hmm.
Because where I'm sitting now in the family room, the kitchen's on the other side of me, and we use power lamps because, look at it like this. Most people are in a house that have all these walls and doors. And when my wife's in the kitchen, where she spends a lot of time in, I like her to be able to hear what I'm saying, and I like to be able to hear what she's saying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I've been a roadie a few times. But like I said, once you tone, if you know what you're doing with toning a room, it's so different. People that come in and listen, they'll tell you immediately, like, what did you do? It sounds, wow, I can hear everything. Because in other words, the front, the back, the left, the whatever speak, in other words, like 5.1, 6.1 stuff, like you would put in a big enough room. It until you do it, it's all interference. That echo is interference.
That's why, like, speakers sound better outdoors.
Yeah.
Because there's no room acoustics involved.
Yeah, because, oh kid, you can go nuts with just stuff in a room. Just moving a thing from here to there, like a couple of feet, and it changes things.
Just having a thick wool rug is better than hardwood floors. Because what's going to happen with first arrival, that sound's going to hit the hardwood floor and it's going to bounce. It's going to reflect.
Yep.
But nowadays, I would never spend the money. People that spend the money with their stereo system to get, it optimizes the room. There's software that does that. You're probably aware of that.
Yep.
I still prefer stereo over surround sound.
Yeah. Do you remember quadraphonic?
Yeah, I remember quadraphonic, yeah.
Oh, God. I still remember in high school, I was taking electronic courses, and quadraphonic came out, and there was this one little thing about, oh, yeah, if you wire them up and you put this resistor, I think it was in the back of the leads and all, and it's like, it still sounds like garbage. because I know Dolby literally saved quadraphonic.
One thing this guy I knew did. Okay, everybody wants to reproduce music as accurately as they can. He came out with something. It wasn't quadraphonic, McShane ambient noise recovery, where he used dual voice coil woofers, where
Yes.
Bud Reed and I forget the other guy's name invented this, where you had each speaker had left and right in it, one going through because that's where there were dual voice coils, but you couldn't do it with the tweeter. Where these drivers don't have it, but I have other ones that do, where that were made by Gefco, where the left speaker has the left and right channel in it because it's still voice coil, and the other speaker the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
I heard it in a small room. I thought it's an improvement, but then Freed went back to just he redesigned everything, went back to just stereo.
Let's see.
It was called the McShane ambient recovery system.
So Nightwing, is RX step, is that the offset, or is that different?
That may be. X sometimes it's used as like transmit.
Okay, and what usually is step frequency?
Well, let's see.
Like what's a number?
It'll be something like 600.
Okay,
Now
I think it's like 500.
okay. Can you put a minus in there?
I can put a plus or a minus.
Okay, that's what it's telling it is. Here's my frequency. Probably receive.
So
But
this is
when
on RX. That's receive.
yeah.
So you want plus, right?
Yeah, you want plus for that. So you'd be probably if you're doing it that way, you're probably tying the transmit. Oh boy, this is why that negative. When they flipped it like that, it kind of throws me for a few minutes. Yeah, that's how the radiosity works. You have to tell it, and it drove me nuts for a while. You give it a plus or minus.
So there's RX. I don't know if I can share this window or not.
That's receive.
Hold on a minute.
Okay, what you got?
Let's go to window here.
Listen, I hate to do it, but I got to take off, guys. I still got to get a shower and do some laundry.
Okay.
Yeah, it's nice seeing you and talking to you.
Hey, listen, don't be a stranger. You gotta come up on one-on-one show more often. You and I have a lot in common. Because I put a lot of stuff on my YouTube channel about loudspeakers. I got all kinds of plans and stuff. Okay, thanks for having me on. Good luck with that one-on-one. I think Nightwing's gonna help you out tremendously.
I think I'm on the verge of fixing this here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have a good night, everyone.
Sorry for the screen being weird right now. So there is the receive frequency. I don't know. Can you read that?
Yeah, I actually brought it up. Let's see. That transmit frequency.
This is how it was originally.
Yeah, but, okay, 400 megahertz.
And then it was set to transmit frequency as default with no value.
Yeah, that's you were on the same frequency. You were simplex.
Right. So that's why it was set to default. So I assume it just copied whatever was in this column over to here.
Mm-hmm.
Which would mean there's the plus and the minus here.
Yeah.
So, and then ASC and then DESC. Do you know what those mean or no?
Not offhand. Now, I noticed something that you're showing me here. You have default, which may mean it's simplex. But what happens when you click on either that right below it where it says frequency?
Right here?
Oh no, a little further down.
This one.
Where it says transmit frequency, you have the word default that's selected.
Right here.
Yeah. Let's see, what's the okay. I'm wondering if you click on one of those, the one down just below it. I don't know why there would be two.
This one here,
Yeah.
the frequency.
If you click on one of those, probably
So
that one.
so it says plus or minus. I'm assuming that that's the what is it?
It's either going to go up high or down low.
Right. But not every channel's like that, is it?
Yeah. Well, some channels are simplex, and then for the repeaters, they have to. You go in and pop out on it. You go in on one frequency, pop out on another.
Right.
Yeah.
Is that typically they increase the frequency when they transmit back out, or do they typically lower the frequency?
Well, in this case, it's going down. From all my ham days of repeaters and all, we would always go in low and come out high.
So
So it'd probably be a minus. Yeah, your download is a minus. That 146,675, and you're
yeah, okay. So the difference in these frequencies, so this being higher, the uplink is higher than the downlink. So
yeah, you're what, 400?
downlink is 462, so that's receiving, or as if the repeater's receiving.
Yeah.
And then uplink is it's sending the thing back out at 467. So that's
Oh, no. Now, if it's meaning downlink like I think it is, it's coming out on the 462 and you're going in on 467.
But what's the offset?
Offset would be the difference between the two, so it'd be what?
So in
5?
this case, here's the 143 up tone, and then the output is 143. So that would be the offset, correct?
Yeah. In other words, it would be the difference between the two frequencies.
These are, well, hold on a minute. These are the tones. The output and the input are the tones.
Right.
And then you have on this page the uplink and the downlink frequencies. The difference between these two frequencies is the offset.
Yeah. So it'd be what, about 5 megahertz? Yeah, that looks about right.
Okay, so we'll put a 5 here. So plus 5?
Yeah, 5 and then hit minus. Because you're going down.
So when it's coming back out of the repeater, it's transmitting on a lower frequency.
Right. You're transmitting transmitting on 146.7, but it is listening on 146.7, but it's transmitting on 146.2. Yeah, uplink and then down.
So uplink is it receiving, not me receiving, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So it needs to be plus or minus on this.
Mm-hmm.
Minus, correct?
Yeah, and you're going down by about 5 megahertz.
5 megahertz, and then steps we don't need to worry about. That's
no, I think you're okay there.
So area, all channel, from channel, clear data from other, to channel, edit setting. Yeah, what's edit settings here? Channel spacing. No tones yet.
Yeah.
Scan.
Mhm.
That's nothing. How do I get back to this? There we go. Channel name's fixed, so I can change that.
Now, do you have to change where it says RX frequency to the 147, whatever it is?
Well, that's in the CTCSS and the TCC. I can never
Yeah.
say it right. That's the
Yeah.
tones up here. So
Now, what I meant was
let's.
this where it says RX frequencies.
So this is for the whole batch. This is not just for
Oh, okay.
one individual. It says batch channel edit. So this is the whole thing that I'm editing
No,
here.
you don't want. Yeah, you don't want to change that because it would throw all your simplex frequencies all over the place.
Well, I can just
Oh,
re-download it from the radio. It'll only take a
yeah.
second. So let's see what it does when I. Okay, that's a lot. Yeah,
I
that's
would
not
hate
right.
to have you type all that back in. That's
Oh no, I can undo that real quick. Here, watch this. Watch. Just complete undo.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer if you can make a copy before you make a change, make the copy.
So we did find out that batch channel edit here is not.
That's not it.
It does have a plus or minus frequency thing, but it's doing it for the whole thing.
Yeah, why it would do that makes no sense.
No, it should be for individual channel. And like I said, I can't select.
You can't
Even
select an individual.
even when I go here into the
Yeah.
line, I can't select that. It's stuck.
Uh-huh. Can you do a right click on it?
No.
Oh man. Oh wait a minute. No, that's TX off.
TX powers. I can't even change the power output, but carrier's
weird,
not.
you can't.
I think it's the software. I don't think it's me.
And this is a basic setting. This is beyond any of this stuff. It's a basic setting. Because you got to be able to enter and change this stuff.
Right. You can't just.
Yeah.
What's this here?
Because
Decoding? None? What is decoding here? That's just response stuff.
Yeah, that's tone stuff.
Pre-timed.
And you were on CH before.
Yeah. But nothing.
What the?
Nothing comes up.
This is nuts.
You see why I like Chirp better?
Oh yeah. I thought Chirp was okay. This thing is it's kind of usable.
This is like somebody tried to copy Chirp and failed.
No, they were mad at Chirp.
Right. So I don't know. I'll probably have to do some more digging tomorrow. It's kind of late, Nightwing. I don't know how much help you can be. Just like you've seen this, it's not.
Yeah. I write a lot of software, and a lot of times I'll have it so that you do a right click on it, and it opens up a window. You do what your changes, and then you close. But this is almost evil.
Right. It's like it's locking you out of. So here's where you can change the frequencies. You know, US GMRS, Australian UHF, and
because every country has, well, it's like our
So
FM radio.
So I took it to this here.
Uh-huh.
It's still not doing
Yeah.
anything here. It goes straight to the channel name.
Yeah.
5-tone, 2-tone wouldn't be anything.
Yeah.
Or they don't give you a lot of settings.
No, that's it's. This is supposed to be a super control set for the radio, but it's almost looking like the radios get better controls than the software.
Right, like I'm thinking I'm going to have to go into the actual radio itself rather than having to deal with.
Yeah.
Sorry for the infinite windows here for a second.
No, hey, don't worry.
Okay. There.
Time tunneling.
I'll have to do some research here on their
Yeah.
software. I really don't know, but I mean, you've helped me a lot here. Just
Yeah.
what's this here? That's just a COM port. That's nothing. No. But that's what the deal is. It's I know now that you got to change these so you have the offset. But the thing is, I can't change the offset.
You can't change the offset.
So why? Where can I find the setting for the? Let's see, frequency main up. What is that? Wonder if it was down. No. I don't know. BFO? No.
Yeah, this is
Squelch level 2. Squelch tail eliminator. That's nothing. That's
yeah. If you listen to radio long enough, you don't even hear the squelch closing, or in other words, muting
this
the
radio is
system.
actually not that bad on like here in the After Effects.
No, like I said, I tell you, for what you paid for it, that's a steal.
I don't know why there's. Well, now I know why there's not any more than there are around, because this shit software.
Yeah, it's the software that makes this stuff.
I don't know nothing about writing software, so I can't.
No, how they're doing this it's just it's like whoever wrote it knew, since he created it, knew how to get around it. So it's like, oh, this will be useful. So he gives it out.
So here's the weird part. I go to channel edit or whatever. Here, hold on.
Okay.
Where is it? No. Wait a minute. I just had it. Hold on. Information, priority channel, I just had the thing where it was.
Let me let you do some licking. I gotta make a pit stop. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Oh.
So I'm sorry, guys, for this whole ordeal. Hello, Castle Hives. How have you been? I haven't seen you in forever, bro. Shit. Yeah, we're just trying to figure out a radio here. For some reason, the software is being a pain in the butt. There we go. So, sorry this is very boring here, guys, but oh well. So, for some reason, I can click the box here on a fresh line, and I can delete it here. And that's perfectly fine. Runtime error 6. Overflow. Okay, it just crashed on me. Well, fuck you too. Yeah.
Did you find it?
That's a pain in the ass. So I went to the model and changed it back to its original programming of the UHF frequencies with a little bit of wider band, even just for whatever. And I can edit a box.
Oh.
And why does it say runtime error? What the hell? And anytime I click that, it closes it out. What the fuck? I got to do some research because something is up with this software.
Yeah.
That or I'm doing this stuff manually. I don't know how else to get this to cooperate. Maybe I downloaded the wrong version. Something. I don't know.
Well, you're dealing with the software itself. It's not, in other words, you're downloading to the radio, but you should be able to make your changes, then upload. But it's not, yeah, you're doing everything right. It's just the software is not cooperating.
It's not letting me.
You got it.
So like I said, I gotta probably tomorrow. I'll take some time and figure this out. I didn't think this radio would be this big of a pain in the ass.
No, like I said,
I
that little radio it'll do everything that you want it to do.
right. Um, I don't know. A little disappointed that the software is junk, but the radio itself. I mean, I can still transmit simplex on Gmrs. That's fine.
Mhm.
It's just a matter of doing
Do you have another radio that you could listen to the output of that repeater?
I wouldn't know any specific numbers, but I mean, I have this here.
Yeah,
That's a
if
GMRS.
you could dial that one into that output, the 140 or the 462, 6, whatever it was,
Yeah.
and then kind of maybe have your mom have it and see as soon as you key the mic on your radio, on the new radio, would you
Well,
hear the output on that one?
I've done that already. It
Uh-huh.
picks it up, radio to radio.
Oh yeah,
I'm
radio.
I'm concerned with the repeater.
Yeah, what I was saying is you would transmit just like on the new radio, but
Yeah.
the smaller one you would set to the output of the repeater. You'd have to move them far enough away so they don't interfere with each other. That's what a cavity does, in effect.
Yeah.
But if you do that and then maybe have, I know it's too late but you could have your mom listen to it, key up, and then see if that radio actually responds. If not, then you're in simplex mode.
So if I go up to view, let me plug some things in here. Hold on.
Okay.
So let's go to so it picks up the keying.
Yeah.
Both of them do.
Yeah, if one's receiving on a different frequency, you're transmitting on another one. And if the one set for receive is picking up, that means you're actually hitting the repeater and you're going through okay.
Oh, this isn't the repeater. So
yeah.
Let me go up to the repeater here. They both.
You're not hearing it, so it's not
hearing the repeater, but I'm hearing the radios back and forth.
Yeah, because they're so close to each other. That's what
right.
It's hard to describe a cavity. There's a ton of math that goes with the dumb thing, but what it does is it keeps the transmitter can fire off, the receiver can be still listening, but they don't interfere with each other. That's what a cavity does. Yeah, I hate to say this. I think you got a Saturday project.
That's okay.
Yeah. But I hate how some people write their user interfaces. They don't think it through.
No.
They write it for them. It's something to get something done, but they don't think it through.
Right. I got to take some time here on YouTube and do some digging on things, and got to put all this stuff away. So I'm going to go ahead and shut it down here, Nightwing. And I thank you for your advice and such. I don't know if I'll be
Hopefully,
on this weekend, but if
yeah.
I get it working, maybe I will.
Okay, I'll be monitoring your channel.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. Have a good evening.
Yeah, you too.
Okay, let's see. I think all I have to do is
Just hit the leave studio button. There we go. So, with that, I know that was a failure, and for those that are still with me, thank you. Yeah, I will be messing around with this tomorrow and figuring that shit out. Just as a side note, kind of a somber, sad day, I guess you could say. Being that it is my dad's birthday, and tomorrow we're going to be going to the cemetery, but that's a tomorrow project, or rather a today project, being that it's 12:30. So I'm going to go ahead and call it a night. It's late. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you for your patience. I know it was a little dry at the end there, but yeah. So I will see you soon if I get this radio going up, maybe tomorrow or the next day or whatever. And if not, next weekend. So with that, 101 out.